Interesting.
No, I would never lie about women I've been with.
What about Sunny? Were you with her?
No, no comment.
He wants to know, have you ever heard of the rumors about Sabu and Tammy Sytch? That's what he's asking.
No. No. Yeah, what are you kidding me? I know it for a fact.
Oh, so there you go.
It's a straight fact. I've seen it with my own eyes.
That's it. I
don't want to get into the stories, but yeah.
So
and I've seen all right. What did my parents say when you're growing up? If you don't have anything good to say about somebody, maybe you should just shut up. So, but yes, I've seen a lot of shit with her.
That is confirmed. As he's getting back to us, he said Tammy denied it for what it's worth. The story about Sabu that you just confirmed.
Of course she's going to deny it. But dude, there's multiple stories out of the WWE. Everybody knows the story about her and Shawn Michaels.
That's pretty public knowledge, yeah.
You know, you can't fucking deny that one. I mean, come on, bro. You do that to the most top guy, you're going to get found out.
She actually stooged off Davey Boy in the last 10 years or so that, that something happened there too that no one knew about.
I never heard that one.
Yeah, she said it publicly or put it in her book. I forgot what it was.
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't a fucking known story.
I mean, here's the mug shot. Tammy Sytch, Sunny, was arrested and she's facing 30 years in prison related to killing a guy in a DUI. I guess she was 3.5 times over the legal limit.
Well, yeah, okay. I don't know what all her battles are. I've heard about all the crap in the news, but it looks like it's time to take your lick right now. You've been given so many chances. The lady was given so many chances and kept going back. Addiction is a vicious cycle. I hate it for her, but this is what it's going to take to get hit rock bottom. Take this and use this time to rebuild yourself. I don't know what statute you're under or she's under or anything like that. I don't know if she'll have to serve a third of her time, half of her time, 85%. Every law or every state is different. There's a lot of things they're going to have to factor in when she's going to be eligible. She should be eligible for parole, later on. So, even though they're saying it's 30 years, it may not be that much.
And she hasn't been convicted yet. They're just saying she's facing up to that much if convicted.
Well, she needs to take this time, work on herself, get right with God. They told me what I was facing, and I was in that prison 2 days, and I went to hang myself. I mean, that's where you go. That's where you go in your mind. You can't take it. You gotta get ready, and you gotta get ready. I pray for her. She's in need of prayer. She's in need of help. Maybe somebody can get through, but she's got to be the one that reaches out and asks for it. It can't be done her way. It's got to be,
Yeah. Right now, she hasn't shown any remorse. She was trying to allege that the guy had a heart attack and actually died from a heart attack. So
she needs to take her lick.
Tammy Sytch.
Yeah. Bad.
Tammy Sytch is in Florida. I'm in Florida now too. But I think it was last week. I think she just drove down the road and just hit a guy sitting at a stop sign. He was 75 years old and killed him. And I'm sure she was drinking, and I'm sure she probably had drugs in her system. Now, they need to take, and I love Tammy, but enough is enough. And she brought all this on herself. So maybe she should be taken out of circulation for a long time.
Yeah.
Because if you let them out and they have a history of doing, she's been arrested 17 times, 7 DUIs. I mean, most people that have, and she didn't have a driver's license with 7 DUIs.
No.
But she's out there driving, drunk, and doped up. And I'm not saying that's for sure, but that's her MO.
have you been following at all the going on with Sunny, former WWE manager. You might have known her from WCW.
Alcohol, once again, you get in with someone that's bound to be irresponsible. It just accentuates and it takes away your inhibitions for being responsible. Using an irresponsible person, and God, oh my God, I have no sympathy for that woman. It makes me sick. It turns my stomach.
I made the mistake of, we were at a building, and I saw in the distance that a heated exchange was starting between Luna and Sunny, and nobody else is around, bro. And I'm looking at this, and Sunny is mouthing off to Luna, and I'm like, what she is going to kill you. So to protect Sunny, bro, I got there, and none of the boys, nobody's around, bro. It's just me. And I kind of got in the middle of them, and Sunny was mouthing off to freaking Luna. And bro, I'll never forget this. Luna literally went through me, knocked me on my ass, and took Sunny down. But it was the same thing. What Sunny represented. The way you describe Luna, like, bro, you are dead on. She was so traditional, and now there was kind of a segue of these really, really attractive women making a name for themselves. And yeah, bro, that caused a lot of issues.
The only other person that I saw that really I personally saw was getting damaged by something that had to do with the clique was Candido. That was really the only person.
What did you think about that whole thing with Sunny's openly admitted that she was with Shawn Michaels during that time? And we've heard stories that they were actually having sex backstage sometimes with Candido in the building. Do you think he knew about it and just accepted it? Or do you think it actually turned him on? Or what do you think of the situation?
I know he knew. I know Chris knew something. It didn't turn him on. He was always upset. I know that it was going on because I myself personally caught them several times before anybody else ever knew about it. I remember when Tammy came to do a benefit for me back in 2013, we used to joke about, she would say, all the times you caught me and Shawn, if you'd have said something to him, like, yo, man, you helped me, you become the Intercontinental Champion, I'm going to tell it. He probably would have done it for you at that time. We joked and laughed about that in 2013, but that was the one thing I remember. It was Royal Rumble. We were in San Jose. I want to say that was 96. Royal Rumble was in San Jose. I think it was 96. Anyway, I was at the top of my balcony. The hotel we were in circled the lobby down there. And I had just come out of my room. I was at the top of my balcony. And Sonny, Chris Candido, and Peter Polacco, or Just Incredible, were sitting down in the lobby eating at a table. And I watched Sonny leave the table, get on the elevator, and come up the elevator. And directly across the other side of the building was Shawn's room. And Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and all those guys was hanging out. And she left the table down there and snuck up there and went in Shawn's room. So Candido and PJ are sitting down there eating. I don't remember if it was breakfast time or dinner time, but they're down there eating, and she done slipped up in the Shawn's room, So Yeah, it was going on. I caught him several times coming out of locker rooms, coming out of closets. It was just a funny thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, most people wouldn't know put up with that.
Yeah, it was the worst part about it was, what do you say to Chris? You don't you can tell it's eating him up, but you don't want to be the guy to go to him and say, "Yo, man, this is what your girl's doing." I mean, I know it was tough for me and PJ because PJ was like his best friend at the time, and so um, I just never said anything, man. I just kept it to myself, and I think that was one of the reasons why after the incident with me and Shawn, we still kind of got along because at the time before it became public, I knew his secret. So
Yeah. Me and Tammy did a website. It didn't last that long. About a year.
What do you think about her latest issue?
I feel so bad for her. She just doesn't learn. I feel sad. I feel very sorry for her.
Are you surprised, or could you see this coming?
I mean, how many DUIs do you have to get before you realize you shouldn't get behind a car? You don't even have a driver's license. You shouldn't even be driving. I think it's sad. It's really sad.
According to her, it was
they lost their father, their grandfather.
Yeah, supposedly he was a really good guy too, and he was 75, which you could still live past that.
Well, yeah, my mom lived almost to 94.
But I will tell you a story where I was backstage on 1996 WWE Hall of Fame weekend. Jimmy was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Mark Henry had just come in, and right off the bat, he hurt his ankle. And he wasn't the ball of fire that he is today. He was just sweet, nice. I'm sure he is sweet, nice in real life. But in the back room, he was just so sweet, so nice. And he was sitting down. He loved Jimmy. And, you had Chris Candido was working. Shawn Michaels was there. And Tammy was there. Tammy Sytch, And, so we're in the back and we're hanging out, and Mark Henry's sitting down, and I'm just chatting with him. He doesn't know me. I don't know him, but I know who he was, but I don't know him. And he said, "Oh, you're friends with Jimmy?" "Oh, I love Jimmy." We're just talking back and forth, and there's a door right next to us. And this, I guess, was Tammy and Chris's what do you call it? Room there. And so we're in the hall, and Jimmy's there, and Iron Sheik is there. So we're all just standing around, and brother Henry was sitting down, with his crutch. We were just talking, and he was nice, like I said. So I see Chris go out to the ring. So we're hanging out, I'm not watching any of the matches on the inside any rooms where they had the closed circuit. I was just hanging out in the hallway with Jimmy. And Jimmy's in this 6-man tag where he takes this huge chair shot from Kane before Kane was Kane. And we're just hanging in the back, and all of a sudden I see Shawn Michaels go into Tammy's room there, So, and then I see Chris coming. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. And Shawn Michaels comes out of the room. And it was like, by the time Chris got to the doorway, Shawn Michaels took one step out, and the next step, they were nose to nose. And as Shawn passes him, he taps him on the shoulder and he says, "Your turn." And me, Mark Henry, Iron Sheik, Jimmy Snuka, we all looked at each other like, and Jimmy's like, "Wow." And that's all that was said. No, not a peep. All I heard was, "Wow." Holy crap. Holy crap. And poor Chris was such a good guy, man. Man, that guy was a good guy. Did you ever have the pleasure of meeting him or seeing him work
Well,
in
I've seen him
real life?
wrestle, but I never met him. No.
What a good guy, man.
Do you think he liked that though? Because some people obviously like it when their girls have sex with other guys. They just get off on that. I heard Jim Cornette's like that.
I guess. I mean, I look. I never went to Chris's house, but anytime I ever saw Chris, man, we would always just be like just peanut butter and jelly in the locker room, you know. And I don't know what his sexual preferences were. Maybe that's true. I don't know, but for me, that ain't my bag. So I would be like, my turn, boom, and then another boom, boom, just for the hell of it, and then maybe a knee and a foot for someone's stump, just to ring the bell. But it's not my gimmick. If that's your gimmick, well, enjoy. I couldn't handle that in front of the boys, in front of anybody, no less in front of the boys. But he didn't even say, he didn't even blink an eye. So maybe you're right. Maybe
Maybe Shawn enjoyed sharing a pussy as well. Some people are like that.
Chris Candido with Tammy Sytch defeats the Artist with Paisley. The match goes 8 minutes. Decent match here. Candido retains his WWE Cruiserweight Championship. And of course, like I mentioned, Tammy, a.k.a. Sunny, is out there as the manager of Chris Candido.
I knew her before she drank in Smoky Mountains. I used to work in Japan. And when I was off, I'd go up there and help Jimmy out once in a while. Something has happened to her in her life that caused this addiction problem, whether she can't get over not being in the limelight. Chris is dead. Money problems, health problems, age problems. Somebody, and I'm not saying it's WWF's problem to do this. They sent her to rehab on numerous occasions. But someone in her family should have got a psychiatrist, psychologist. And I don't understand how she could get those many DUIs without them putting in a blow. You know, the blower in the car?
Yep.
I mean, I know in the state, or at least the county I'm in, Island County, you get one DUI, you got to get a blower in your car. And if you can't drive anybody else's car. I mean,
crazy that she can get that many. Yeah.
You know, her life is over. What I think I saw that she's 49, and she's going to get up to 30 years.
Yep. Pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah, pretty scary. Pretty scary. And I just saw something on, you know, those television programs, TED, where you get these very smart people who talk about different subjects.
Oh, yeah, TED Talks, yep.
Okay. Do you know who the original Tesla was, right? Not the car, but Tesla?
Yes.
Okay. You know, he's a genius, right?
Yep.
And, you know, he beat Edison to electricity and then all that other stuff. His granddaughter got into science because he was an addict from alcohol. And she has done a different study on addiction, that your brain actually changes for some people, like you and I, to go out and have a drink, and after a certain period of time, maybe your brain would change and mine wouldn't, that you had to have it. So, I mean, she had to have a lot of enablers, you know what I mean? To say, oh, Tammy, why don't you have a drink, you know what I mean? And then give her the keys. I just don't understand that. I mean, I think about it. You know, one of the driving forces for all this was the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, you know, MAD.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back in the day, you know, the police would take the alcohol and they would drive you, tell you move over, they'd drive you home. You know what I mean? I think it's because a lot of people, you know, people were aware that people were getting killed from alcohol accidents, but not as overwhelming as it is. People didn't have that kind of reach out with the news like we do now. You know what I mean? You can't get away from anything. But somebody should have taken her aside and helped her, because she killed a guy. His life's gone. People that loved him was going to be saddled with that, and she's going to jail, and her life is basically gone.
Great to be back here on Hannibal TV, Canada's top combat sports podcast. King, Connecticut here, and I saw Just Incredible on Hannibal the other day talking about Sunny. And I know Tammy well, known her for a number of years. First met her in Rhode Island back in 2000, and we stayed in close contact. In 2003, we were on a show together that Chris Candido was also on. And I want to kind of clarify this because a lot of people don't realize they were not together at that point in time. They had split up. Now, I don't know what was going on back in the WWF days, but 2003 they weren't together, and Sonny did stay over at my house, which at the time was right on Kenwood Lake. It was back when I lived in Connecticut, right around the corner from Police Athletic League, before and after the show. And one thing I remember at that time, she was pretty juicy, pretty thick at that time, and she had some gigantic zooms. She had the implants in, and they had grown, and I think she later actually auctioned those bad boys off. And I remember when we were getting down and dirty, giving her the old reach around on those massive bazooms. They were soft. They were soft for falsies, but always wish her the best. I don't have any ill will towards Sunny. I saw her again and hung out with her a couple of years ago in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. Chris Candido was a great guy, and whatever happened, none of my business.
You know, I think Sonny's always had a little bit of a craziness issue. I like Sonny. I just think she's crazy. I think she's completely off her rockers. There are times. I'll give you one little story about Sonny. There was a time that Mark Henry and I were sitting at the commentating table during the daytime before the doors open, and we had the headsets on, and we're just joking around, right? And Sonny had walked up to me and pulled the ear thing off of my head and leaned down and whispered into my ear and said, "I'm into bondage." And I jumped up, threw my headset off, and I went, "Whoa, that's way more than I needed to know." And Mark Henry's sitting beside me going, "What'd she say? What'd she say?" And so that was that was a little bit of a kicker with Sonny, but she was crazy. I mean, she was one of those that pushes the envelope all the time, and she did it in WWE programming, push the envelope, and she also pushed the envelope a little too far in her real life as well. She's obviously paying a pretty hard price right now for some of those decisions. She's got to get better at making better decisions. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, she's got a foot in the grave. And of course, we all know where that leads.
And I have to ask you, because of your character, if you watched her porn video.
No, I have not watched Sonny's porn video. I don't know if I can bring myself to do it.
When we were together as a team and with Chris, she could be a pretty nasty person. Just not a nice person. I don't wish bad or harm or negativity towards anybody whatsoever. But you gotta believe sometimes karma does bite you in the ass. I don't like what's happened to Sonny. I don't think anybody should have to go through that. But if you've been to rehab more than 5 times, there is a little part in there where they talk about those poor unfortunate souls who just can't be saved. There is a part in there, man. Because I know I've been 3. I get it. I understand. Sonny has to help Sonny. If it's got to be under supervision, she needs supervision, man. She needs help. She needs to go to meetings. She needs people around her. She needs a sponsor. She needs support. But you got to want it. And you have to want to do it, man. I feel bad for her, but at the same time, you get what you sow sometimes, man. And that's a bad thing. I don't wish her any harm, but you know what, man? She wasn't a very nice lady.
I feel bad for Chris. Chris was one of the nicest human beings in the world. He helped me so much. And she, from day one, she was always very abusive. Really, really hurtful. And I saw that. And even she'd slept at my mom and dad's home. I slept at her mom's home. And we'd all been friends. And I'd hate to say this, but she was very promiscuous. And I remember one day we all traveled together for a WWF show. This is before I went to ECW. And we were staying at Tammy's mom's home in New Jersey. And we were still all in our wrestling gear. We got out of there, figure, we'll just shower at the house. And Chris was the first one in the shower. And I was gonna sleep on the floor in the spare room. And Tammy had her robe on. And she literally pulled her robe off naked and said, "He's in the shower, why don't you take me right here, right now, he'll never know." And out of pure embarrassment, I just kind of I joked it off. I laughed it off. I'm like, "Oh, get the F out of here." And I, just kind of tried to laugh it off. But I'm thinking to myself, she was dead serious. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm in your man's house. And to disrespect him like that, I mean, that's just I'm a lot of things, but I'm not that. That's just disgusting. And I just think she had a lot of problems, and back then she wasn't even drunk or using drugs. She just needed anything for attention. She wanted that. She lived for that attention. She wanted to be desired. And to me, it was just like, ugh, it's like, I don't, she was cute then, but it's like, you know what, sorry, friends don't do that to friends. I especially in someone else's home, your home, Chris's home, that's disgusting. And that's when I knew that she was just not a good person, because you just don't do that. You don't.
She recently got arrested for, again, for some repeated offenses. Do you have any thought about Sonny and her arrest?
She's in a lot of trouble. She really she's narcissistic. She really she just doesn't want to stop doing what she's doing. She's headed down a path of destruction, and I honestly believe that one day, sooner than later, and I hope I'm wrong, I really hope I'm wrong, because I wish nobody any harm, but she's going to be one of the headlines, because I think she's in jail right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's going to do some time, and it's just a shame, because at one point, she's a Hall of Famer. At one point, she could have turned her whole life around if she would have just sought out help and really admitted you need help. Look, we all need help. I've needed help several times. I still need help sometimes, and it's just a shame. It breaks my heart, but I guess that's who she always was, who she always was.
It was reported that the Clique tormented Candido behind the scenes, and that could have led for him asking his release.
Sure.
Did you guys had any heat steaming from that, from the Clique being tormenting Candido?
Not really. I always tried to stay my own way. You know, but he did it to himself, unfortunately. I mean, it was, you know, Shawn was having sex with Sonny right in front of his eyes. You know, and I hate talking about Chris like that, especially when he's not with us. But he knew. He was just so in love with her that he didn't want to lose her. So I honestly, in a way, I blame him, because I would not have taken that for one moment. I don't think a lot of men or women in this world would have. I think he was just as much lost as she was. But no, I didn't have any heat with that. I just, you know, it's like, what are you gonna do? He was just, he was just a lost soul.
Well, I plead the fifth on this one. Yeah, you know, Tammy was known. I've heard multiple stories of that kind of stuff going on. I do also know that Chris was head over heels in love with her. You know, even when he knew that kind of stuff, like the stuff with Shawn Michaels at WWF. I was there that night, and it did happen. You know, and you know, to me, I'd be saying kick your ass to the curb. But you know, Chris really did love her, and there was an odd relationship between them, because I think most people put in that situation, having that kind of stuff done to them, would say, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." But the two of them were, I think, well, first of all, they were codependent, and that's always a bad thing. But they had both come up in the business and cut their teeth pretty much in the same places, and had known each other for quite a long time before that. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me what PJ, you know, if PJ said that happened, it wouldn't shock me. And I would never call PJ a liar. If that's what he says, I believe it. In hindsight, I just, you know, I feel bad for Chris that Chris didn't have, I think it goes back to, like I said earlier, about Chris not having the self-confidence in himself to be that stone cold heel or you know, heroic babyface, because he was capable of both. I just don't think Chris had a lot of self-confidence in general, and I think with Tammy, he felt very comfortable with that, and so accepted a lot of it.
What was the worst example of what you saw the Clique do to him? Because I know that they really Jim Ross has even said it on his podcast. He considers that they actually tormented Chris Candido.
The worst I can think of is the thing with Shawn. You know, look, to me, you know, especially then, the business has changed to some degree, I guess. But back then, wrestlers were a spoiled lot. You know, we'd go into, you know, we're making all this money, and you go into a store and people would be giving you, you know, free $200 tennis shoes and stuff. You know, free upgrades. You know, you go to a restaurant, they wouldn't let you pay because, you know, they want you to come back to the restaurant, things like that. So wrestlers were used to getting, me included, used to getting away with things. You could, you know, if you got in trouble, you know, say, you know, with the law. Like, I remember one time there was a fight outside the ECW arena, and the cops came, and not one wrestler was questioned. It was all the people from the bar next door that got arrested. You know, so wrestlers are used to getting away with stuff like that, and I think, like, because of that, it's easy to lose sight of, like, the real world that most people inhabit. But to me, there's a fine line. Screwing with somebody's wife or very close girlfriend, or even if she wants to, that's not the litmus test. The litmus test is you would never in a million years have to worry about if you and I were on the road together doing something like that. And I would hope the same thing vice versa. So I think there are some things that I don't care, you know, what your position is in the company, what stroke you have with the boss. There's things that you do and there's things that you don't do. And that was just a goddamn asshole move.
I don't know how she treated Chris. And the reason I don't know how she treated Chris is because I'm not Chris.
Right.
I can tell you that I saw things between the both of them. I saw both their behaviors, and who's it for me to judge? Do you know what I mean? You know, Tammy's been one of my dear friends for years because of Chris. you know, but the two I met the two of them together, and I always knew them together, and I always saw all of the shenanigans with them. He never got rid of her. You know, they never broke up. So whatever it was between the two of them, apparently it worked. I don't know if it was good. I don't know if it was bad. I didn't have to wake up with it, and I didn't have to go to bed with it. So it wasn't for me to judge. Because if it didn't affect my life, then why do I care? I care for Chris, and I used to get upset, but there was at one point where I finally realized, well, if Chris isn't getting upset, why am I? I don't understand. You know, this is not going to impact my life. I'm not dating her. I'm not living with her. I'm not sleeping with her. So why do I care? You know, and I don't know what he may be doing on the other side. Because you got to remember, there's always three sides of the story: his, hers, and the truth. So.
Have you watched her porn?
No. I have no interest.
I think it was a very, very delicate situation because Sonny had issues too, and everybody knew it. And Hawk and I, besides Paul Ellering, we didn't need no other manager. And especially, nobody's going to believe that a girl is going to be able to control the Road Warriors, or Legion of Doom at the time, right? And Sonny, in Madison Square Garden one night, the first night she was with us, was walking around all sewn up, which is a muscle relaxer pill. And I told her, I said, do not get in the way of my spikes. You know, because we flip around the ring so far, and my big spikes came with a hairline scratching in the cheek. I came back after the match, and Vince McMahon says, she messed up. And I nodded yes. I'm not gonna lie, man, you can see it on tape. Everybody in the sold out 22,000 seat arena could see it. And right, boom, she was gone.
What do you think that she's now gone to the point where she's done porn videos and stuff like that?
You know, when she was with Chris Candido, right?
Yeah.
She was really, back then, a sweet girl with Chris. When I first met her, she was sweet. I hate to see anybody that would have to turn to that to make money, right? I actually feel sorry for her, because it's a really embarrassing crap. I mean, let's face it, really embarrassing stuff. I don't know what I would do if I ever had anybody I really knew close to my family that would ever have stooped to that, man. I would try to do my best that they wouldn't have to. And she's at a point in her life now, I think she's in jail.
Speaking of Sonny, is there anyone at the WWE that you didn't have sex with around that time?
Me. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And for you fans out there, if you're considering buying into the I'll watch Missy Hyatt and her do stuff on film, what the hell's wrong with you?
Like Abdullah, I guess, sold his ring.
Yeah, a few people. So I think Tammy sold hers or put it up for sale.
Oh yeah, I forgot
something.
to ask you about her. What do you think of her?
You know, when her and I hung out together, she's one of the most funniest people in the whole wide world. I think she's a hoot. She is really, really funny, and we haven't really spoken or anything in years now.
What was Sonny like to work with?
Sonny was okay to work with, but there was a big Sonny Sable rivalry. A big rivalry. There were a lot of words. Yeah. I mean, words were exchanged. I mean, I never saw anything physical, but you know, I mean, words were exchanged all the time. But like I said, it almost became the norm, you know, but I never saw anything that I thought was gonna go to blows or anything like that. And in my opinion, because she'll probably tell you differently, I thought it really affected Sonny. I felt Sonny was very jealous of Sable. Sable, you know, rose through the ranks very quickly. And I think there was some jealousy there, and I think the jealousy at times made it difficult for me to work with Sonny.
And Sable was with Mark Merrow at the time?
Yes.
Was she still with Mark Merrow when she started going out with Brock Lesnar? Do you know?
I think she was, yeah.
And at one point, I read that you were managed by Sonny.
Yes.
When was that?
That was the AWE show in West Virginia.
And what are your thoughts on her, and what was that like?
A lot of the guys were like, "Yo, she wants to fuck you," you know, like, and I was like, "Okay," so I'm not gonna put her over whatsoever. I didn't, and I guess she really wanted to fuck me even more then.
You never joined her list of.
Yeah. Well, I guess I did.
Oh, you did join her list of conquests eventually.
Yeah, I did. She offered like 2 sandwiches too, so like I couldn't like refuse that. And like I wanted to get the fuck out, you know, like I was tired of like the old legends just like talking wrestling and looking at me weird, and so like let's just get the fuck out. And she had a mark there for him that was like paying all her stuff, I guess. And she told him to go buy sandwiches, and I fucked her and got the fuck out. And I left. The boys came and picked me up, and I left.
In her hotel room?
Yeah.
Or,
I was so scared, like, I thought I had, like, chlamydia or, like, weird shit. I thought, like, I was scared to look at her pussy, you know, like, because I was like, oh, maybe it's, like, all retarded, you know, like, yeah, but she smelled really good, she was really nice, and, I never had any STDs, so can't complain.